Hey everybody, it's Mike Duesberg. Welcome to another one of our mini webinars. This is one, how to avoid wasting money on your events in 2023. We got a lot to throw at you really fast, so let's jump right into it. First of all, the big question that I ask all of my clients all the time, what is entertainment? When you're deciding on the entertainment at your event, what exactly are you looking for? And you can take a minute and kind of write something down as we're going, but let me give you an example of the answers that I usually see. There's something like this. It's about 40 different things that I thought of in about 2 minutes that are different forms of entertainment that people have had at their events. And I think these are all fine. They're fantastic ways to entertain people. And they come down to a definition that says basically, entertainment is the fun stuff at the event. And that's definitely true. I think entertainment is what makes events a lot more fun for other people. But I think when you use that mindset, it creates some other problems. I mean, if you want people to have fun, that means that you've got that list. There's dozens of options. There's no way to choose which kind of fun is right for your event. And there's really no way to value or how much money should you spend on the different kinds of fun that you're going to bring to that event. And so I don't think that definition of entertainment as the fun stuff really helps us very much. And it throws us into this really difficult buying process. The typical buying process that I like to say, the questions everyone asks and really nobody should. The first question, are you available? I think that question is important because the entertainment you hire does need to be available on the day you're hiring them from. But realistically, you haven't established whether or not they're a good fit for your event or they can help your event. So whether or not they're available ends up not being terribly relevant. And second of all, how long is your show? I love that question because I've got a show that's 5 minutes long. I've got a version that's 15 minutes long that can be edited to 10. I've got a version that's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 150, an hour and 15 minutes. And I also have been booked to do a 5-hour event too as well, and I can handle that. I can do almost any amount of time. The question is, how much time do you need at your event? And so I think the old days where somebody just had an act and they came out and they did their 15-minute act, that was really true back in vaudeville. But in the 21st century, that's just not how corporate entertainment is booked. So the question of how long is your show isn't as relevant as we'd like it to be. And also, how much does it cost? Well, realistically, the idea that there's a going rate for entertainment just isn't true. Right? There isn't like somebody goes out there and says, well, your act has these pieces and it goes on for this long, so it needs to be this price. That's not true. There is no going rate. And then the question of what that performer is going to charge you to do what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, when you talk about value, it's what you get, and what is the result that you're going to get and how are you going to value that result within your event. That should determine the price, not somebody saying, well, I'm $145,000. Why? Why would you spend that money? So again, when we look at entertainment just as fun, we get dozens of options. We got no way to choose. We got no ways to value it. And last of all, there's no way to be right. If somebody comes up to you and says, you know what, I noticed that you didn't hire my son, who is a member of the World Accordion Society, and he has 7 of their gold medals. Why didn't you hire him for the event? You don't really say, well, no, the entertainment we hired was intended to do this, and it cost this much, and we got this return on investment, and that's why that was the right choice for us. Instead, we end up in this sort of like, well, leave us your information and send us a video, which basically means you're going to put it on the heap, right? So I want to talk a little bit about one of my favorite business leaders, a guy named Jay Abraham, who wrote a fantastic book called Getting Everything You Can Out of Everything You Got. And he has this concept of leverage, looking at things within your company that are maybe currently an expense that you could turn into maybe something that's actually a revenue generator, or maybe something that's an expense that you can actually get more value out of. He calls that leveraging. And a few years ago, as a professional performer, I spent some time talking to other magicians, and we actually changed our definition of entertainment from that idea of the fun stuff to this, the ability to capture, focus, and direct attention, because that's something that you can leverage at your event to do other things. And realistically, I think great entertainers are the ones that really capture attention, whether they're walking out on stage and everyone's riveted to them, or they're working at a cocktail party and everybody turns around to be part of it, or whatever it is that people have an eye on that person, they're watching that person. And as one of my mentors said, they'd be afraid to look away because they'd miss something. And that's really what I call the ability to capture, focus, and then direct attention. As a magician, I want you to see what I'm doing. I want you to watch what's happening. As a comedian, I want you to watch me. I want you to think about the things that I'm talking about. As a singer, right, I want you to listen to my song, and I want you to feel some emotions that are going along with that song so that you can't look away. If you did, you'd miss it. And that's really what a great entertainer is. And then our clients, our corporate clients, are saying, you know what, that's the kind of experience that we can leverage to accomplish some other business objectives. And let me show you what some of those might be. At a trade show booth, for your booth to work, you have to attract attention. You have to focus attendees on your booth. You have to be able to convey a message that tells the attendee at the show, hey, this is a company that might be able to help you. Of course, you need to be able to direct those people at some point to a lead collection device so that you can get their information, get them to follow up. And part of that is connecting them, of course, with your salespeople. Now, again, when we're in a trade show environment, we can use entertainment and the ability to capture, focus, and direct attention to accomplish all those things at an event, rather than kind of hoping that people do it on their own. And that's why we can dramatically increase the number of people that pay attention to your booth. We help you identify more of your ideal prospects, and we help you convey your message in a way that makes those qualified prospects want to talk to you more. And that's really how entertainment is going to serve you in a trade show situation. Same thing in a hospitality suite. We want to attract guests. We want to keep them entertained. We want to connect them with the salespeople that are at the event. We want to connect them with other people who are at the event so that your hospitality suite isn't just a thank you party. It's actually like an industry hub where everybody from the industry wants to be there, and they want to get to know your people, because that's a way that you can grow your business at the same time that you can help your customers. Of course, we also want to lay foundations for future conversations. So people are talking to you at the trade show booth. They're talking to you around the conference and coming up to you and saying, hey, that was a great party we were at last night. Can't believe this one thing that happened. That was so incredible. And then that person, if they work for your company, has an opportunity to start having a sales conversation. Really, you're one of our customers. How long have you worked with our company? And eventually that turns around to, what are you doing now? And that's how sales conversations start. And of course, hospitality suite, if you want to convey brand information, you have to do it at least in an entertaining way, because I don't think people want to sit down and come to a lecture after dinner as well as listening to lectures all day long. But you can use entertainment to focus and capture and direct attention to deliver your brand information in an interesting way. And basically what we're talking about here is the idea of matching your event goals to the entertainment that's at the event, right? One of the big problems that we have is that a lot of the most common forms of entertainment we see at corporate events do not actually direct, capture, or focus attention at all. And the big thing that most people use is live music, right? Well, if you've got a live band somewhere, that you can focus attention on the band, right? But most people actually have background music, right? They've got a band, and the band is playing in the background while everybody else is supposed to be mixing and mingling and talking with each other during the event. Well, one, the band kind of gets in the way because they're creating noise that people can't talk over. But second of all, there's nothing that the band is doing that's encouraging people to talk with people they don't already know. It doesn't encourage them to connect with other people. The band is literally happening over there, and the music is coming across the room, and they've turned into what we would call audible wallpaper, right? They're part of the event. They're part of the experience. They set some atmosphere and tone, but they're not the sort of thing you're going to tell a story about the next day. There's not an experience to that music beyond it being in the background. So it's not really something that's going to capture, focus, or direct attention, as opposed to, say, in my case, as a magician, right? So I'm focusing attention on this 8x10, this high top table, and I'm gathering 10 or 20 people to watch. I'm focusing their attention there, and we're doing something that's entertaining, and it's creating a memory that they're going to talk about later. And so now we're going to be able to leverage that entertainment within the business purpose of the event, as opposed to the music that was just, it was there, it was sort of happening, but it wasn't, we can't do anything with it. So what I tell all of my clients is to sit down and first say, why are you hosting this event? What is the purpose of the event? So it might be just client appreciation, but usually within client appreciation, we also have the purpose of saying, well, we want to appreciate our clients, and we want to start conversations with them now that might turn into a sales conversation later. We want to expand it. We want to sell something that they're not already buying from us. We want to keep them as our customers. We want to have people who used to be our customer come to this event, and we want to be able to talk to them so that maybe they can be our customer again. Sometimes we just want to maintain their business. We want to get referrals from them. So there's lots of reasons within that event, and start to actually list them out on a piece of paper. What are all the things that we want this event to be able to do for us? And then after that, I always ask them what connects to this event. In other words, what's going to happen after this event? Maybe this event, if it's a trade show, is part of a campaign. So we're going to have them come to the trade show booth. They're going to hear about us. They're going to give us their business card. And what happens then? Well, after that, they're going to have a meeting, right? So what can we do to make sure that that process goes as smooth as it can? What can we do at the trade show booth that makes the customer representative memorable, so when they call to set the appointment, the customer says, oh yeah, I remember talking to Bob and he said he was going to solve this problem for me, and yes, I want to set that appointment, and yes, I'm going to show up for it, and no, I'm not going to cancel it 5 minutes in. Finding out what else is going on within the company and how that relates. And if you're in the events department and you know that, that's a good thing to start finding out. If you're in marketing, find out how the sales department works. If you're in sales, find out where those leads are coming from, and how you can connect yourself into that process so that they can smoothly transition from being a marketing into a sales experience. And then, of course, the question of what happens if this goes well. So some of my clients have said, look, we see them at the trade show. They give us our information. We have a meeting. A meeting turns into a $120,000 a year contract. Okay, so what can we do to get more contracts? What can we do to get more people in that pipeline? What happens if this goes well? The holiday party, what happens if that goes well? Well, our employees feel appreciated. They feel like we did something special for them. Maybe we reduce the amount of turnover. It doesn't cost as much for us to onboard new people. We keep our better people longer and they don't go to our competitor. Lots of things that can happen if this goes well, but list them out and find out what they are so that you know when you're in your planning process. Here's some other lists of things that could be possible outcomes that people really want. Increased revenue, customer retention, referral business. All of these things can be outcomes that you're trying to accomplish during the event. And then when you have a conversation with an entertainer, rather than just going to a website and looking at a video and going, okay, that's what that is and it costs this much. Okay, call them on the phone. Say, Bob, we're doing this event. This is what we're trying to accomplish. How can you help us do that? Right? And from the very start, the red flags are going to go up or the green flags are going to go up. They're going to say, yeah, I've worked with people in similar situations and this is what we did to help them accomplish it. Or the other way, they kind of freeze. They say, I've never really thought about it. Let me think about it for a minute. Maybe they're not necessarily the right choice. Or maybe they say, hey, I do need to think about it because I've worked with people in your position before. Let me ask you some questions about how that goes. The best thing you can do is start getting a lot of questions from the entertainers that you call, because that means they're really digging in and trying to find ways to tweak and adjust and really cater their performance to your specific goals and objectives. And that means that you're more likely to get there. You notice that what we're doing here is actually making your budget process a lot easier, because if you can go into this and say, look, this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is how much it costs for us to put this event together. This is what we expect to get from it. Now you can understand how much money you should spend on entertainment. And if you're spending money on entertainment, here's what you expect to get from that. And now you're looking for ways that things go together. And so when somebody comes up to you and says, well, it costs this much money to have this entertainer at your event, you can say, well, yes, but we expect to get this much more money for it. And of course, all this also makes decision step easier as well. When you're going in there and you've got 15 kinds of entertainment, well, this kind of entertainment is going to do this at our event, and that's going to get us this outcome. And so now you can sit with your people and say, well, these entertainers don't really seem to be addressing our goal. These guys are. This is what our budget is. This is how they're going to fit within our budget and get us the result that we want. These are the ones we should go with. And it's a lot easier when someone comes up to you and says, again, why didn't you hire my son who was the genius accordion player? Well, when we talked to him, these were the goals that we wanted. This is the budget that we had to accomplish that goal. And when we expected to get this out of that money, and the guys that we chose, those are the ones that really did that for us. And it's a much more logical conversation. And when executives look at you and say things like, why did you spend that money? And you can come back and say, well, we did it for these reasons and this is what we got. You're really in a much better position, because now no one can say that you wasted money. You can go in there and say, this was our plan. Now, sometimes the plan doesn't work, right? You can say that this is what we thought was going to happen, but it didn't happen. But you can always turn to somebody and say, this is what was supposed to happen and this is how it was supposed to go. And everyone stops looking at you as someone who, you brought in some fun entertainment and it was really cool. And they say, no, this person is a business strategist that helped us accomplish something. I think that can be a game changer for people if you're in the events industry. So now what? Well, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary event conversation. This is not a sales call, but it is the same thing I do with every single one of my clients. I ask them, look, what are your goals for this event? Tell me about your objectives. How do you know that it's successful? And let's dig that out before you start talking to entertainment and exploring entertainment options. Let's get an idea of what it is that you really expect to accomplish, and then your KPIs. How are you going to measure the results that you get at the event to know that you're actually getting toward what you're trying to accomplish? And what have you done in the past, and how has that supported your goals, and how has that helped you accomplish what you wanted to do? And last, what do you expect to accomplish this time? And if you were to change the entertainment you're doing, what would you expect the entertainment to do better than it was doing before? Again, I'm not here to sell myself. I'm here to talk to you about what you're trying to do. And based on what you're telling me, I can tell you what other people have done in your particular situation to achieve what you're trying to do. Like I said, about 60% of these calls, I end up saying, look, I'm not even a good fit for this, but sometimes I do know who is. So if you're open to that conversation, talking a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish and some ways to get you there, I love to talk about it. You can reach me at my telephone number, which is 561-596-3877, or of course on the website at magicmeansbusiness.com. Just click the contact button and we'll get you right where you need to be. I really hope you took some time out to enjoy the video today. I hope you found it useful. If you've got some comments, I'd love to have you put them at the bottom, or better yet, just go to magicmeansbusiness.com and shoot me a note. I hope you enjoyed it. Our next webinar is coming up in 2 weeks, and it's going to be all about creating memories, what people remember, what they don't remember, and what they talk about. Creating an event and an experience that people are going to tell a story about your event. We know those are big for marketing. We know that they're big for events. We know that they're big for memories. We know that they're big for sales. So I look forward to seeing you at that event soon.